Hello there friends, CS News Live here. In today's video, the truth about the Esports Awards, Valve's new rules, and is s1mple actually moving to Falcons, plus a ton of other super exciting news from the world of CS2, and as always, in the end, the results of ESL Pro League. So without further ado, let's get straight to it. Alright, let's kick off the video with yet another scandal involving CSGO Empire. Yeah, it's that same roulette case opening website that got tangled up with a big controversy at the major when a few people ran onto the stage during the Mouse vs G2 match to protest against this site. So this time they decided to drop a contest on the 11th of September where you could win 911 coins, and the promo even featured a plane in the title. I mean, I probably don't even have to remind you what happened on the 11th of September in 2001. And realizing their massive screw up, CSGO Empire quickly deleted the post, and the intern who posted it was reportedly fired. That was the quote. Whether that's actually true or was it just made for the hype, we don't know, but I mean, guys, never ever do anything with CSGO Empire because it's super cringe. Alright, let's move on to something really happy and positive. For example, we've got evidence that VACnet is working actually. You might recall from our last video that VAC banned one of the top players in the Premier mode. Well, this time the ban hammered a whopping 471 players. That's the highest number we've seen this month. But, well, here's the catch. It's unclear whether the bans targeted actual cheaters or just snap-tap users. Another issue is that despite the number of bans, the overall number of cheaters isn't decreasing much. Account reselling is still a thing, so cheaters just keep doing the same stuff on new accounts. Anyways, those who don't want to deal with cheaters often switch to Faceit. There, players think everyone's playing to win and that they'll soon hit level 10, and esports glory is not that far off. The most confident ones even grab a premium subscription to pick maps and sites, plus it opens up a separate matchmaking queue. But Faceit isn't as great as many thought, and Perfecto has something to say about it. About 6 months ago, he mentioned that he'd get teamed up with 2 NPCs who couldn't do anything right. Now he's saying that he was wrong and it's actually much worse than he initially thought, meaning that there are even more bad players. Sure, we've all run into griefers and toxic players, but that's definitely not what players expect when they hop onto Faceit, especially in the premium queue. My friends, what do you think about premium on Faceit? Drop your suggestions in the comments below if you do pay for it. By the way, remember how we've been talking a lot lately about issues in ENCE? It all started with the coach swap, and now the players themselves have opened up about the situation within the team. So, for example, SDY mentioned that everyone is actually giving their all, but strategies just aren't clicking with this lineup. Kylar added that the whole situation is super depressing, and honestly, it's understandable. After all, the core of this roster was assembled like 8 months ago, and they've won only 4 matches in their last huge tournaments. And we can also point to problems like Glaive's declining stats, because the Danish captain ended up second to last in terms of stats among all players at EPL, and his firepower is just rated 3 out of 100. Over the past 3 months, ENCE has had a win rate of only 27.8%. In HLTV's rankings, the team sits at the 32nd place, while they're down to 47th in Valve's rankings. By the way, our Twitter followers were first to know about these stats, so make sure to follow us there to stay on top of all the hottest CS2 news. The link's in the description. So, my friends, it's kinda tough to say, but Glaive's recent stats make us wonder if he's about to step back from the pro scene, at least as a player. That got us thinking, and we put together a list of other players who might also call it quits soon. And on the list are Kerrigan, Rain, Fallen, Coldzera, Snappy, Dupree, Apex, and Krems. It feels like with their departure, a whole era of CS, the one we all love and grew up with, is fading away. The era when Astralis snagged 4 majors, the times packed with the insane emotions of captains and players, the era of Brazilian and European legends, basically the era of our childhood. We really hope that's not the case and that some of these OGs will stick around, but it's kinda hard to stay optimistic. Guys, what do you think? Who of these players are definitely gonna hang the mouse soon? And who of them has like 2 or 3 years left? Share your thoughts in the comments below. You might remember from our last video that we talked about Siuhy potentially stepping in if Kerrigan retires, especially given Mouse's strong performances. But lately their results have been slipping, and I think we know why. Turns out in the hometown of the Polish captain Klodsko, a devastating flood has happened, and Siuhy is really stressed about what's going back home, which makes it hard for him to stay fully focused on the game. We really hope the situation gets resolved soon and that everything will be okay with his hometown and its people. Big props to Siuhy for still competing despite everything. Guys, let's support him with some positive vibes. Alright, now jumping back to the CS scene and all the roster shakeups. So now the insider has spilled some tea why Team Falcons have been so inconsistent lately. Turns out some players already know or are worried that they'll be kicked from the lineup in just 3 months. And that's gonna be weighing on them, making it hard to fully stay focused on the game. And adding fuel to the fire, they're constantly ahead with the interviews where one of the main questions is about NiKo potentially joining the team, which just ramps up the pressure even more. So the main problem here isn't just about aim or tactics, it's all psychological. Interestingly, when Zonic joined Astralis, they immediately brought in a team psychologist, and the coach knows firsthand how crucial mental strength is in esports. So it's kinda weird that Falcons are dealing with this issue without taking similar steps. And something more about Team Falcons. Well, you know who Richard Lewis is, right? The journalist, the insider, and one of the most respected people in the esports scene. Even though he works pretty close with Thorin. Anyways, he spilled that Falcons are interested not just in NiKo, but also in s1mple. What's even more intriguing is that s1mple has played for Falcons before. Like, do you remember that one single match for $1 million? Where he didn't exactly crush it, but since Alexander has been getting back in form lately, maybe Falcons are looking to bring him back, this time by buying out his contract, which according to rumors ends in late 2025. Plus, well, you know, Team Falcons, they've got the cash. So Richard Lewis also mentioned that he'd love to see the interactions between NiKo and s1mple during matches. After all, both are known for their passionate and fiery personalities. So if they end up on the same team, things could get pretty intense, especially at first. Still, my friends, remember that this is just insider info and might not be 100% accurate. But, you know, knowing Falcons, nothing's off the table. What do you think, guys? Will s1mple make the move to Falcons? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Richard Lewis also had shed some light on the bias and the pointlessness of the Esports Awards and its organizers. According to the journalist, Valorant doesn't deserve the title of the best esports game of the year. He says that the game has had no tournament for half a year, and the events they do have are like of small scale. Meanwhile, CS has major tournaments happening all the time, with organizers constantly trying to outdo each other. Plus, we should consider that CS2 is only a year old and has already achieved so much. Richard also believes that Valve should have been named the publisher of the year because they've released Deadlock and also prompting 2 top-tier esports disciplines in CS2 and Dota 2. In contrast, Riot has just improved their anti-cheat and released a $500 skin. Lewis didn't stop there, he also took a jab at Team Liquid, saying that the org likely promised profits to the sheikhs. He pointed out that the director himself doesn't respect many of the country's principles, yet he's met with applause. Like, if it weren't profitable for the sheikhs, they probably wouldn't have even let him attend the awards ceremony. And as for Falcons winning the team award, well, that's hardly surprising, since it's basically a team the sheikhs themselves founded. And Pimp was named the analyst of the year because he promoted the sheikhs tournaments. Remember, this is just Richard Lewis's opinion, and you shouldn't take it as an absolute truth. Our job is just to share it with you. But honestly, personally, holy crap, Richard Lewis is so based about everything he said. Anyways, let's move on. So aside from the sheikhs and PGL, there's news that Starladder Starladder is making a comeback to the esports scene. Yeah, the legendary Eastern European organizer. They will host their first tournament in September 2025, packing a hefty $500,000 prize pool, and is set to go down in Budapest. According to official announcement, the tournament will run from September 13th to September 21st. And it will feature 16 teams, but guys, listen to this carefully. Only 4 of these teams will be from Valve's rankings. 12 teams will get invites to the closed qualifiers. But here's the main catch: Starladder will allow 4 teams from open qualifiers into the closed qualifiers, which is just super amazing considering how rarely open qualifiers are in the esports scene now. Yang, for example, praised the organizers for this move, pointing out that this is one of the few tournaments where teams outside Valve's top rankings will get a shot. And we also agree and think this is absolutely the right call, because it basically opens up the door for underdogs to jump in and potentially shock everyone. And speaking of Valve and major tournaments, so if you thought that Valve initially kinda pressed to the ground the tier 2 scene with their tournament regulations, now they've decided to mess up with the customization too, specifically player autographs. It's official now. From now on, your autographs has to look like a real signature and shouldn't take more than 5 or 10 seconds to draw. Otherwise, it's considered too complicated and you'll have to change it. And more to this, you will have to draw your autograph right there in China in front of the organizers so they can confirm it. Plus, your autograph can get rejected if they think you used AI to create it, or if it's written with a trademarked font, or again if it's impossible to draw by hand with those 5-10 seconds. So, for example, Note suggested to use stencils with different letters. Guys, what do you think about it? Do you think we as users and watchers are losing because of this? Or has Valve done the right thing? Write your thoughts in the comments below. Alright guys, to close things out, let's recap the ESL Pro League group stage results. From Group C, M80 and Imperial crushed it and secured direct spots to the playoffs. BIG battled through the lower bracket, and Complexity clinched their spot via the last chance bracket. In Group D, Vitality and Liquid dominated the groups and advanced straight to the playoffs. Virtus.pro powered back through the lower bracket, and Furia grabbed their spot from the last chance bracket. You might think that we missed something, but we didn't, and we were surprised as well. Mouse didn't make it. Together with Red Canids, they finished 17th, 20th, joining the squads that wrapped up their run in the 21st, 28th places like Astralis, Falcons, Fnatic and others. And now the playoff bracket is finally revealed. In the round of 16 we will see Mongols against BIG, Heroic versus Virtus.pro, Complexity clash with FaZe, and Furia up against Team Spirit. Waiting for the round of 12 are Eternal Fire, MIBR, Liquid and Imperial. Meanwhile, in the quarterfinals, Vitality, M80, G2 and Na'Vi are already standing by to join the action. And that's all for today, my friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button and leave a comment. Thank you again, thank you for watching. Also, be sure to ring that notification bell. I'm not saying goodbye for a long time. See you soon.